العطر والشعر، الثقافة والفكر، النور والتنوير، بذخ الأناقة وترف الجمال، أيقونة الآداب والفنون والقيم الإنسانية الرفيعة، موسيقى اللغة ولغة الموسيقى. إنها فرنسا بإشعاع حضارتها، وقلبها المفتوح للمبدعين من كل بقاع الأرض، الذين يبحثون عن الإلهام الكامن في تفاصيلها. تمازجت فيها مكونات بديعة لتجعل لها خصوصية فريدة. نتج عنها ثقافة عالمية تصب روافدها في كثير من البلدان. وفي الجانب الآخر فإنها واكبت العلوم والتقنيات الحديثة، فأصبحت أحد أهم منتجيها الكبار، وبذلك فإنها تحلق بجناحين متميزين تمثل الفرق بينها وبين الآخرين.
My name is Ludovic Pouille. I'm the French ambassador to the Kingdom of Saudi Arabia since almost 1 year. I think I am one of the few ambassadors who were lucky enough to arrive in the kingdom where the situation, the sanitary situation, was mainly under control. I want to congratulate, the Saudi authorities for the way they managed the COVID pandemic. Today, the figures are very low, but since my arrival, I'm really impressed by the way they have handled the situation, both from a sanitary point of view, but also economic point of view. And I had the pleasure to visit many places in Saudi Arabia, to meet physically many interlocutors, from ministers, officials, to businessmen and ordinary people. I've read a lot, I've heard a lot about the changes since 2005, but there is a big difference between reading, hearing, and seeing with your own eyes. And in less than 1 year, I've been able to see so many changes, It's a soft revolution happening in the country. And I invite, all my interlocutors in Paris, in France, businessmen, officials, tourists, to come and visit and to see what's happening here. Because there is no better experience, than to meet with the people and to discover the country. And I'm confident that now that the restrictions have been lifted, and we can travel freely from Riyadh to Paris and from Paris to Riyadh, as long as you are vaccinated and just with a PCR test. So I'm confident that we'll see more and more French delegations coming in the coming weeks and months. And that's the best way, for the people just to change their perception about Saudi Arabia and to see here that especially the young people, men and women, are driving in the driving seat, in the country. They bring a lot of dynamism, creativity. I have met so many young people in universities, of course, but also in the private sector, in the public sector. When I arrived, it was the end of the presidency, Saudi presidency of the G20. Of course, it was a difficult time because everything was digital. But I have to say that Saudi Arabia did a great job during the presidency. And I was here, attending many meetings. And I've seen, all those young men and women working very hard, for this presidency of the G20, bringing a lot of, communique, resolutions, in the middle of the worst crisis for the world. So it was a huge responsibility for the leaders of the country. And we have worked, France and Saudi Arabia hand in hand on global issues, health, climate change, the issues of biodiversity, of course, global security. And the people I've met during the short period of time after my arrival convinced me that really the youth of this country is a treasure and brings big potential, for change and again to create in the field of culture, art, in the field of course, economy. And so, for all those reasons, I really wish to connect the two people, the French society and the Saudi society. They have to meet, they have to discuss, to talk together, and then it will bring naturally, our relations to a level has not been reached yet. We have an excellent strategic partnership at the level of our leaders, governments. The French companies and the Saudi businessmen have very good relations, but now we have to bring people-to-people relations. And that's my task as an ambassador.
أعتقد أن زيارة جلالة الملك فيصل رحمه الله لفرنسا ولقائه بفخامة الرئيس الفرنسي شارل دوغول عام 1967 وضع اللبنة الأولى للعلاقات السعودية الفرنسية. وأعتقد أن الجانب الثقافي هو حجر الزاوية للعلاقات السعودية الفرنسية. أولاً لأنه فرنسا مدينة النور وتحتضن متاحف عالمية ومؤسسات ومدارس عريقة في مجال الفنون والثقافة، وهي بشكل عام مهتمة بالثقافة العالمية. ومن جانب آخر المملكة تشكل عمق حضاري لما احتضنته من حضارات سادت العالم وأثرت الإنسانية بموروثها الفكري والثقافي، جعلت منها محطة لا يمكن تجاهلها في الساحة الثقافية.
So here is my favorite place in the French residency, because it's full of greenery and we have those magnificent palm trees. And of course the palm tree is the symbol of Saudi Arabia. So unfortunately we cannot have good dates from those palm trees. So I see maybe with some experts, I would love to produce the dates of the French residency. Yeah, maybe in the coming years. But again, this is a wonderful place and so symbolic, when I put some pictures on social media from here, people ask, Saudi Arabia and Riyadh are so green, come on. So that's a great way so to show another face of Saudi Arabia. When you go to Jeddah in the Hijaz, when you go to Asir, when you go to Taif, when you go to Dammam, or to Qasim, you can feel that you are in the same country, of course, with a strong nation, but each community has its own specificities, identities, and characteristics, in terms of culture, art, food. And so I feel in a way at home here, because we are so proud in France of the diversity of our country. When I arrived here, many people in France or in the world, they view Saudi Arabia as basically a desert. When I post some pictures, on my social media account of the mountains in Asir or in the region of Taif, the blue sea in Jeddah, on the cities and especially the heritage. Not speaking, of course, about El Ola, which is my favorite place in the kingdom. I can tell you that I received many comments from friends. People saying, is it Saudi Arabia? Really? We want to come and discover those places because it changed the whole picture, And that's why I'm confident that Saudi Arabia will be a real place with a great potential for tourism in the 21st century.
أعتقد بأن الفرنسيين بشكل عام لديهم فضول للتعرف على الثقافة السعودية، وهي بالنسبة لهم ثقافة جديدة وقد تكاد تكون مجهولة بالنسبة لهم. فهذا يضفي علينا دور نحن كسعوديين بأن نقدم أدبنا، مفكرينا وأدبائنا بالشكل الذي يعكس مكانة المملكة الحقيقية، مكانة المملكة الثقافية، أقصد في ذلك الحقيقية.
So here we have a great calligraphy from Mohammed, who is a young calligraphist artist, and he came here in the residency during a very special day. It was the day for the teacher of French language. So we had invited, many French teachers and Saudi teachers of French language, and he painted during the evening live this beautiful calligraphy, and he has here in the middle put a phrase which is اليوم العالمي للمعلم للغة الفرنسية. I'm sure you can find it and read it. So it's very beautiful, and again, I'm really a promoter of French language and Francophonie in Saudi Arabia, but I think the best way to promote it is to tell also the French people to learn the Arabic language. And Arabic and French are symbols of diversity. I'd like to say that each time I'm informed about an exhibition, either in National Museum or a festival like the Noor Riyadh Festival or the Taif Festival, of Roses, or the Saudi Falconry Festival, or some concerts, I tell my team, please, be sure that I can attend those places, those events. Because again, this is how you understand a country. And here in Saudi Arabia, in the last few years, it has been an explosion in terms of culture, entertainment, and more is to come.
العلاقة الثقافية السعودية الفرنسية مرت بمراحل جدا جميلة. أذكر على سبيل المثال معرض المملكة بين الأمس واليوم الذي أقيم في العاصمة الفرنسية باريس عام 1986، والذي افتتحه خادم الحرمين الشريفين الملك سلمان حفظه الله بصحبة الرئيس الفرنسي جاك شيراك، وكان وقتها عمدة لمدينة باريس، والملك حفظه الله كان أميراً لمنطقة الرياض، ولاقى إقبالاً واسعاً من العامة في فرنسا. أيضا نذكر معرض الفنون الإسلامية اللي أقامه متحف اللوفر في العاصمة الرياض عام 2006. ولكن في اعتقادي بأن زيارة سمو سيدي الأمير محمد بن سلمان ولي العهد لفرنسا عام 2018 شكل نقطة تحول في طبيعة العلاقات السعودية الفرنسية بشكل عام وفي العلاقات الثقافية بشكل خاص.
So, أهلاً وسهلاً في حديقة دار فرنسا في رياض. Welcome to the French Residency's garden, and I'm personally very proud of this artwork. It was realized during an evening we had here, a poetry night, by a Saudi artist, street artist, the first Saudi woman street artist, Noura bin Saidan, and she has invented, you know, this picture, mixing the monuments of Paris with the iconic monuments of Riyadh, and with some Arabic calligraphy. And I am very fond of Arabic calligraphy. And she put a lot of colors. And I think that's exactly how I see our relationship, you know, a connection, a deep connection between France and Saudi Arabia, you know, with a lot of color, which is the symbol of the diversity, the symbol of the richness also of the people. And of course, this Arabic calligraphy, which is, of course, one of the best arts in the world. So, again, I think that's a great symbol of the friendship between France and Saudi Arabia. Personally, I'm very open to all kinds of cuisine, and I like everything in the Saudi cuisine, especially El Kabsa, of course. When I visited Qasim, I was amazed by the kledja. And of course, I love the dates. And here I discovered that Saudi Arabia, again, it's like in France, we speak about the 300 cheese in France, here the 300 kinds of dates. And so it's always a pleasure to discover in some places different tastes, you know, of Saudi cuisine. I'm a passionate of food and cuisine. And for the 14th of July, we were lucky to find a French chef in Riyadh working with a Saudi female chef to create a new dessert. And the dessert was named the Paris El Ola, based on a French recipe, but including some Saudi ingredients, especially date. I think food is really, and cuisine is really one of the best ways to connect the people. And I hope that sometime we'll have a Saudi restaurant in Paris. I'm not an expert in dancing, I have to confess. So sometimes I have to be very modest because it's nice to participate, but I cannot compete with the professional dancers. I've been really amazed in some places like Abha with the local culture, you know. When you see the men with the flowers, you know, on their heads, when you see the woman painting al-Qat al-Asiri in the houses, you feel, you know, this is a world, you know, culture and heritage and it has been registered in UNESCO just recently, and I think it's a great recognition of the richness and the diversity of the Saudi culture. The Sadu also has been recognized in UNESCO.
أعتقد أن لدينا في المملكة حراك ثقافي كثير، فلدينا المبدعين ولدينا المفكرين ولدينا الأدباء الذين يستحقون أن نعرف بهم وأن ندفعهم للعالمية، ويبقى دورنا نحن في كيف نقدم أدبنا وفكرنا وأدبائنا أيضا.
First of all, thank you. Thank you for big shukran for welcoming so warmly myself and my family in the beginning of my mission. I look forward to enhance our relations, both, of course, in Riyadh, but in all the kingdom. And you can count on me and my family to visit all places in the kingdom and to revisit also some places I've already been in. I invite you also to come to France.